Welcome to the Pizza King Podcast, your destination for all things pizza business. I'm your host, Tyrell Reed, and every week we're taking a deep dive into the behind-the-scenes world of running a successful pizza business, from team building to sales growth, multi-unit strategies, and much more. Doesn't even matter if you're a pizza vet, just starting out in the game, just your first shop, whatever you're doing, this podcast will be your go-to resource for tips, strategies, and success stories. As always, send me your questions to info@tyrellreed.com. Go connect with me on Instagram at Pizza King Podcast. Let's get into the episode.
You know, whoever's watching this, you might not think that Sioux City, Iowa would give you an extraordinary culinary experience, but it's an amazing setup of these small places that are family owned, that have been in business for 50 and 60 years. That
doesn't happen by accident. All right, there we go. I'm here with Bob. Bob, you have to tell me, Protexter?
Correct. That's
Bob Protexter from Pizza Shack in Arcadia, Oklahoma. We've been chatting here for the last 10 minutes, Bob. Super cool. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Pizza King family. Can you tell us about Pizza Shack and who you are?
Well, that's awesome. Thanks for having me on. Who I am and who the Pizza Shack is are kind of a little mix of things together, but I'm from Sioux City, Iowa.
Okay.
And spare you the whole life story, but in 1984, and I was between my junior and senior high school, I worked at a pizza place, and it was 2 blocks from my house. And I knew the family growing up my whole life. And the best story I can tell you about that place is I was 12 years old one time. We went in to get a pizza, and we paid for it. And I left, and I asked my mom, I was like, why did we have to pay for that pizza? Because they were so generous. And my dad worked at the college, right next door, about 2-3 blocks away also. And he would always let them in the pass gate to go watch basketball. And then when I got busy, they would leave. And it was just always, they were always generous, and they remembered when you helped them, and they would help you. And they sincerely made their business by giving away free pizzas. So I'm from Sioux City, Iowa, with a place called Jerry's Pizza. For the record, I did call him before I come down here to get his blessing, because you work at some place and you take some ideas and some methods of doing stuff, and you go somewhere else. And we are 8 hours away, so it's a little different than.
I'll say, are they still open and operating over there too?
For eternity, they will be open and operating. They, knock on wood, they opened in 1959 with Jerry and his wife, Eileen, and then their kids were real young, and they opened with a card table, a shoebox for money, and a rolling pin. So I got my rolling pin right here, just in case you ever need it. And they've been open ever since, and they're killing it. Jerry died in I think the late 80s, early 90s, and it was news on our local news. He had such an impact on the community as a whole and the extended community of our town. And I'd worked there on and off from around my baseball schedule. I was fortunate enough to travel out with baseball. Then I coached college in my hometown of Sioux City, and like a lot of coaches in the off season and different times of year, you'll work. So yeah, I worked there on and off I'm old, man. I worked there on and off for 34 years. So till 2018 is the last time I worked there.
So you got to spend your summers traveling and playing ball, and your winters tossing pies?
Something like that. Yeah. Delivering a lot of pizza. Cool. So we, the worse the weather, the better the business. So for delivery I learned, I just didn't realize till I got here how much I thought I could do this, but I didn't know until I got here how much I'd learned to work at that place, and when you grow up, you kind of treat people like your family treats people, but that was kind of a secondary family, and you work there for so many years, you get to know people, and they just, they treat people really well. And so we try to do that. I encourage our workers to do that, but we give away probably more pizzas than my owner and friend wants me to, but It's our best investment. It's our best advertising is a slice of pizza, and people come back for it. But
I always say the best way to make friends is show up with some pizza.
There you go. So, and we were just talking about that today. I think probably going to start driving to hair salons and beauty parlors and barbershops because that's your town crier. And we just met a lady, and she said, I talk to people all day, and she likes our pizza. But anyway, the kind of fast forward to this story was in April last year, a year ago this month. I was just closing out my 6th year of substitute teaching. And Eddie Gokenauer, the owner of the Chicken Shack, he called me. We'd grown up. We played baseball together. We played football together. He played football. I suited. I was a skinny second baseman trying to play football. So, and he was a linebacker. We won the state tournament. And another friend of ours, Troy Bolke, he works here. And so there's 3 of us from the same class. But he had a chicken shack in Iowa, a couple small ones in Iowa, and a place called Iowa Great Lakes, Okoboji. If you wear an Okoboji shirt long enough in Tampa, somebody's going to know where that's from. So
I have to get me one.
I will. You send me your address and your size. I'll send you one tomorrow. He had a place up there, and he got married and started having kids, and they got into a different type of business. And then he came down here on business, and he left that. And in 2016, he's for the locals here, for anybody traveling through Route 66, he was in Luther, Oklahoma with a food salesman. They sat on 2 5-gallon buckets and started telling him his vision. And the guy told me when I came here to talk to me about food, he goes, either he was crazy or he's a dreamer. And, now he's got the largest landmass restaurant in Oklahoma. It's I just counted the tables because I wanted to tell you that. Next door, I think there's 179 tables. So there's his. You walk in the first part of the restaurant, and it's a restaurant, and you walk into the second part of the restaurant, it's the size of 2 restaurants, and then the bar is something out of whatever you call it, Coyote Ugly or some movie, some New York City bar that's like 50 feet long, and the bar is expansive. That's not until you get outside. When the weather turns nice, we are. You wouldn't think of Oklahoma, as bad weather, but people down here don't like it when it gets below 50. So, but it gets above 50 and 60 and sunny, and we got outdoor music, and then you have a expansive outdoor area. It's kind of a state fair atmosphere.
It sounds like a whole experience. I want to bring my kids.
And that's what people come here for. They bring their dogs. They ride their motorcycles out here. They drive their Corvettes. They have Corvette club stuff, and just it's. We were texting back and forth, and he said, pizza, like, you have pizza, you want pizza. He goes, no, I want you to come down and make some pizza, see how it goes. He was really respectful of my time. He goes, you come down for 2 or 3 days and, see how it goes. I was like, there's not much damage I can do in 2 or 3 days. So I said, last year it was 1 of 2 times I could come down. It was, came down on Memorial Day. It was kind of a big bang entrance by accident, by mistake. So growing up, you don't realize this when you're in high school, but a lot of people take care of you, and you don't realize when you show up to eat food that somebody paid for it. Yeah. Somebody had to work to food's not free. I mean, you can give it away free, but in the back end, somebody paid for it. Somebody took care of you.
It cost somewhere.
Somebody paid for it somewhere. It cost somebody something. So they say pass it along, or what do they say, pay it forward. So. Mm-hmm. So on a side note, but also involved in all this, the Savannah Bananas, we're traveling the country, and a friend of mine plays for them, and I'm not sure how involved he is this year. In the past couple of years, been pretty involved. His name is Bill Lee. Mm-hmm. Pitched for the Boston Red Sox. Pitched Game 7 of the 1975 World Series, and he's been to Iowa to help me with baseball programs. I've been involved with baseball for 35 years, but. I said, hey, maybe we can invite the team to this Chicken Shack place. And I hadn't been here yet. I'd seen pictures. I knew it was pretty big, but I proposed to Eddie. It's like, hey, can you feed him? He goes, yeah. And he gives me a hard time because I keep going back. And I said, okay, but like to feed him, you're going to pay for it. He goes, yeah. And he goes, no, you understand there's like 110 people. He goes, yeah. And he's
a lot of food.
I said yes, because I said yes, but it's a big deal. And they played a couple games in Oklahoma City at the Bricktown ballpark. it's AAA Park, and they played Friday, Saturday. They were on their way to Tulsa to play on Monday. So we contacted through the team and said, we'd like to take care of your team. And Eddie footed the bill. They showed up with two cruisers, two 55 passenger buses. They got 110 people packed in there. And they sat outside for 3 hours. They ate, they drank. Guys that wanted to be secluded, they kind of hid off in the corner. Guys that wanted to do stuff, they went on the dance floor. They started doing line dancing.
Oh my goodness!
So all the dances they do, they started doing them there, and it wasn't advertised to the public. So, which is it's a credit to Eddie. Just kind of wanted to invite him out, kind of inviting your friends over, right?
Yeah.
So, and there's basketball, there's volleyball.
That makes them more comfortable too, when it's,
they said hands down, it was the best day off they had off all last summer.
Oh, and, that's cool.
They travel the country. They said one guy is crazy. He's like, this is better than Vegas. So we videotape recorded him say it was better than Vegas. But, it's a big deal. It's a country atmosphere. But I'm skipping past the first year. But he invited me down, and I literally arrived at 11:30 a.m. on the Memorial Day Sunday. They arrived at 12:30. I had been with the team, not really with the team. I was out there for their tryouts the year before, kind of observing and watching and seeing if there was some baseball aspect in there for me. And I'm too old to play at that level, and I don't dance very well, so I don't.
I was gonna say, are you there to choreograph?
No, and it's kind of out of my realm, but I just fascinated, like a fly on the wall. Like you wanted to see it, I wanted to see it, so I went out there, and so I knew some of the players, and I introduced Eddie and Troy, and I said, hey, go have at it. And they were there for like 3 hours, but we went to the game on Monday in Tulsa, sat in the dugout, and then Wednesday, I drug my feet starting here that Monday and Tuesday because I know once you start, you can't not stop, right? So
once it's on, it's on.
I took a day off before I started. So I started on a Wednesday, and that was May 31st. I've been at it ever since. We had, I don't know if you can see our ovens.
Brick oven.
He bought those, or deck ovens, Marsal ovens. He bought those at some kind of auction. He was in restoration business for a long time, so he has a really good eye for finding good deals and knowing how the back end of that business works, rather than walking through the front door and buying a new Toyota. He knows where the older Toyotas are that are going to work just as good, and kind of a comparison of that the car life. But and then to get those through there. Back through this wall, he had to cut a hole in the wall to get the ovens in the building.
Oh, so once they're in, they're in.
Yeah. So now
that's what we're going with.
There's too much. The legs were too long. They couldn't tip them sideways with all the mechanisms in there. It wasn't going to work. So this was before I got here. So when I got here, the building was intact, and it's a fascinating building. But no, that was a simple ask. He goes, can you come down here and make pizzas? I said, this is 1 to 2 times I can come down and see how it goes. And got here and at the Savannah Bananas, and Wednesday we started with pizza. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I started meeting with food distributors, and I had an idea really what I wanted to do. And to replicate perfection is really tough. So the place I came from is considered by a lot of people, our favorite pizza, or our town's favorite pizza. And sometimes, is it nostalgia? Is it just your hometown stuff? And it's not, it's really that good. And they do a lot of unique things. And I think they did a lot of things back in the early days that they continued with, rather than trying to modernize and be new and fancy. They just kept with what worked. And they've been open since 1959. They have 2 locations. 2 brothers own the place back in Sioux City, and I was fortunate enough to be a part of that for a very long time. And I didn't just ever realize how much I learned after I started from scratch and do it myself. So I didn't walk into a place, I didn't walk into a chain. It was start from an empty cooler and ovens that had been used in about 5 years, and
put it all together.
Yeah, and a Subway. We use a Subway making table. First day we tried to make pizzas, the roller broke, so we had to fix the roller, and we just those are daily stories. You do what you've done. You know that, like, there's not a day that goes by that doesn't have a story that could be a full episode on TV. There's something to happen, and
something's going to happen every day. That's just part
yeah,
of it.
yeah. So our biggest thing is, just like we make pizzas, you build them from the bottom up. So you got your dough, and sauce, cheese, and then your ingredients. Most pizzas are made that way. Some are kind of upside down, or different types of pies or styles. But so two things happen. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, so, for a place to be open for 60 years, that's not brainwashing. That's the real deal. That's not just home cooking.
They don't market, they don't advertise, they support the local schools. They'll put their ads in programs, but I mean, they don't put stuff on TV. And it's just, it's one of those places. It's part of the community. It's part of the culture. And it's not, how do you say, like I said, I wondered more this year, is like, it's just nostalgia. It's just like when people go back there, they want to eat there. But no, I delivered there. I delivered pizzas there on and off for years. And I would go to the same house on the same day at the same time for the same person with the same pizza for year in and year out. And, just on a Tuesday, that's what that guy orders on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
So you can't fake that. You can't advertise your way into that. You got to like it. And a lot of love in their pizzas. They have a lot of people that I think America gets a bad rap for we can't find good workers. I'm super fortunate, knock on wood. Again, I got great workers here, and they've had great workers there. But I think you have to cultivate that. That doesn't happen by accident. You can't just say, when you put a help wanted sign out, you don't say looking for great workers, right?
Somebody save me.
Yeah. So we need workers. So we've been really fortunate for some local, I'm by far by more than a generation or two, the oldest person working here. So we have a lot of young people, and you have to give them a lot of direction. But I watched how it was handled, where I came from.
Yeah.
I didn't invent this. I watched it. I watched how it was enacted. I watched the culture that was cultivated. Just it went on for, decades,
for generations. That's incredible. Yeah. So you were able to, borrow some of the philosophies and lessons that you learned from, and tell me again, it was Jerry's Pizza, right? Jerry's Pizza in Sioux City, Iowa. Well, yeah, I'd like to think I was smart enough to invent this stuff, but I'm not. You always like to think, wow, I did that. But my hand was held for 30 some years watching it, and I did the only thing I didn't do there was payroll. I would deliver payroll. I would pick up payroll. I would, you do trash, you do deliveries. When they were desperate, I would make pizzas because they had pizza makers, and I would fill a pizza making position every once in a while, mostly delivered, and you have to basically know everything there. You got to roll, because you're not useful as a functional human being in a pizza place if you can't do everything. And a little bit of it for sure.
Well, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. Go help me with this, because you can't have the wheels stop just because somebody can't do the roller or watch pizzas for 10 minutes or just filling in a void. So we don't have a name for the system, but it's just kind of, we fill in voids, so when the phone rings, we don't have a phone answer. Whoever's closest, whoever's the most free will go take the phone, and that they fill in that void. Now, if there's a pizza back there they walked away from, somebody can walk up, look at it, and finish that. So it's, watch the ovens for 10 minutes. I'm going to go next door. And so there's just a lot of void filling, that's that. And I always say girls, but we have more than just girls here. We have a couple guys, but they are employees. We'll go with that. But our girls, our guys, our employees have become really excellent void fillers. They take care of our customers. We serve in sacks. We serve in pizza sacks.
I saw that. I was going to ask you about that. He's going to show us the sack. I want to see this because I saw that on Instagram.
So we serve in pizza sacks, and this is something that
so on a tray in the sack,
on a white disc. I might make a pizza for you, right? I don't know if you have time. I might make a pizza for you, but so pretty standard, right? But we do that,
Okay.
and then it'll go right inside the sack. And the amazing thing from my thighs to the floor, I got 2,000 sacks.
No boxes whatsoever.
We begrudgingly use boxes from time to time, and then if we're not on it, we get busy and we run out of sacks. It takes a couple days to get in, and we do use boxes. So
for emergency purposes only.
For emergency purposes only. There's a few customers that request it, but what happens with sacks is it how do you say it? It really forces your hand. There's a better term than that, but it prompts you into have to have excellent customer service because you can't stack them. So all of a sudden you got mom with three pizzas. You got one in one hand, one in another. She got to open the door and
you got to go help her.
And you got to go to the car. So I was like, hey, we'll help you out with that. And some people are a little taken aback, like, no, we'll get them. Like, well, because they're not thinking ahead. Like I got to open the door and somebody rolls in the parking lot with a $70,000 car. They don't want to put that pizza on that car. It's going to scratch it. So that kind of, but I like that. I like that aspect of it. And
how did you guys decide to go with the sack versus the traditional box?
When Eddie asked me to come down here, he goes, I'd like you to work here. I'd like you to, do pizza here because of where I worked at. And that was about the limit of our conversation. And I took that as we're going to do our best to emulate where I'd come from, which is Jerry's Pizza. And they had sacks.
Nice.
It's sacks. They have homemade dough. Like I said, our ovens are different. Our dough is different. But within all that, the customer service, got to help people and opening doors and sacks, you can't stack them. You pop them with air and they encase that air, but then they don't carry the whiff of cardboard. And I'm not a fan of that. I think probably because I worked at a place where we didn't have boxes. Yeah. But I mean, if you do what you do, you know how much space 2,000 boxes take up.
Well, I had to put a whole shed out back for boxes.
Yeah.
So trust me, I get it.
They come from Fisher Paper Products. It's we get them from a place called Wrap It Up to Go in Illinois. Hi, Rich. I'm gonna tell Rich to watch this. But
is it wax or is it
So there's a name for it. It's not butcher paper. Not I'm not sure, parchment paper. There's a specific name for it.
Okay.
I'm really failing you today by not knowing.
It's hard to tell on the camera, but it looks like it had kind of one of those, like a wax coating on it, or
it's got a little bit, because that was the big question. So what happened was, I love Oklahoma people, but there's a little bit of you can't do that in Oklahoma people. Like there's always a challenge. They're like, how you can't do that? How are you going to do it? And you got to be a little tough to like get past that, because like you can't do that in sacks. Like, and then they told me all the reasons that you could. And Eddie and I would look at each other, and it's like we watched it been done since we were in middle school, and the place been open since 1959. And there are a lot of places in the north, Chicago area, they do the sacks. North Dakota, there's places that do that, but it's not prevalent, it's not popular, and some of the customers don't like it. We actually got a bad review because we have sacks instead of boxes. And I'll take that. That's okay. But but for us, it's this better taste, and you get into storage, and like I said, I got cheese stick sacks and pizza sacks. I got from my waist down to the floor. I got 2,000, and 2,000 boxes take up a lot of space.
It sure does.
We're gonna say it's better for the world too. A little less footprint, but
I'll take that. I'll take that all day long. And I'm used to seeing slices go in a sack, but I hadn't seen where, at least in operation, where a whole pie would go in. So what size pizzas do you guys make?
So we officially only have 14-inch pizzas on our menu.
Okay.
So I mean, we're set up with templates to cut 8, 10, 12, 14, and 16-inch pizzas. Like I said, I love your podcast and the messages you put out there, and you talked about, making it simple. If you can do, I'm involved in baseball, and if you can catch a ground ball, you make money. it sounds too simplistic, but the higher levels you go up, you don't see guys miss, on this, we didn't want to miss. So instead of offering, minis and smalls and mediums and larges and jumbles, we just offer one size. It's the large.
Let's master the large pizza. Yeah, I love it.
Yep. And we get all kinds of ideas. You need to have salads. You need to have this. You should do this. You're never going to survive in Oklahoma without chicken bacon ranch pizza. I'm like, well, wait a second. So chicken bacon ranch pizza is not happening here. So we serve pizza, and next door they serve chicken. So if you want chicken, we call it 10 steps east, 47-second walk over there if you want chicken. If you want pizza. So then we have, this is our mascot. I'll try to do this.
You got the chicken. Oh, I see him. Oh, with the pizza.
This is the chicken. Our chicken serves pizza, so we don't serve chicken on pizza. So that became and that went on our shirt then. So that's on our
oh, that's crazy.
I'm gonna do this right.
I see it. Yeah, I see it. So our chicken serves pizza. We don't serve chicken on pizza.
Chicken serving pizza. We have Route 66, Oklahoma. Tried to go through some fancy logo designs, and a friend of mine that's a designer said, use that. I'm like, I can't use that. That's the sign I paid out front. It took me 10 minutes. And he says, no, you have to use that. I'm like, no, I can't use that. And I said, and he goes, no, you have to, because now you have hand-painted sign and handmade pizzas. So
I like it.
So that became our logo. But back to the sacks, it was something we had been used to. And like I said, if you're going to come to Oklahoma, toughen up a little bit, because they're going to tell you, they're going to challenge you. And they said, you can't do that. The sacks are going to get greasy and they're going to rip. But no, it's if you prep them right and pop the sack, get a little air in there, creates a little warmth bubble too, a little steam in there. So when you tear it open, the steam comes out and got
freshness. Right in your face.
Yeah.
That's great. I mean, the one thing I know about Oklahoma, if they're going to challenge you, once they love you, they love you, though.
I've been told that. Yeah.
Once they love you, they love you. So
I had a friend. So I was, I got down here, and I hadn't been here much, a couple days here and there in my life, and passing through. I used to go to school in Texas, and I would go right through Oklahoma. You're exactly right. I think you have friends or relatives out here.
Yeah, my brother's in Bartlesville.
There you go. So you got to put Pizza Shack on your list of destinations this year.
I'd love to, and I spent a lot of time with Fuzzy's Taco Shop, and the stores that operate in Oklahoma were far and away some of the best in the system, and those people just absolutely love the brand. So once they embraced it, and it was the same thing, you can't make tacos like that in Oklahoma. And once they embraced it, and they put one there in Bricktown, and it just took off. It's crazy.
Well, Bricktown's it's a famous place. I was down there yesterday, and it's got a lot of neat places. I'm not sure what the name of your place is, but what is it? What was it? Fuzzy's?
Fuzzy's Taco Shop. Yeah.
Yes, I've heard famous things about that.
Yeah.
So
they had to earn it the same way, because they were different, very different.
So I got here. I didn't know anybody, and I knew Ed, and knew Troy is a classmate of ours. Well, there's another classmate that lives 10 minutes from here. So I had a few points of reference and people to know. And after that, it was every day it was new. I got lost in the how many tens of new friends and people am I going to know today? So I was watching. I got here the first week I got here. I emailed a guy. He was from out of town, and he moved into. I read about him a little bit from out of town, moved into town, and started up some restaurants and won an award. And that's the limit that I knew about it. So I don't know that I really consider myself a restaurateur or a pizza place guy, but looking back, I've worked in like 15 kitchens in my life, not including the Jerry's Pizza, but it's always kind of been an interesting, fascinated by the food stuff. And my mom told me he goes, I'd make funky sandwiches. And she said, well, you should be a chef. And I'd never thought about it. But I paid attention, we came down here. I thought we could do something neat. And so I emailed the guy. I said, hey, if you want to bring your family or friends out sometimes, because it's like chefs, they get engrossed in what they do, and they need to not do that and go somewhere else and just relax and have, like the Savannah Bananas, just go somewhere and have a meal.
Yeah.
So I did, and then he never called me back. And about a month and a half later, he calls me back and he says, "Hey, this is Andrew Black." And I'm like, it's like, wait a second, I know this. He goes, "You had emailed me." It's like, yeah. He goes, "Well, we're out here." He goes, "We're going to have chicken next door. We're going to like to come over and have some pizza." I was like, okay. And as we're walking over here, I tell him, I was like, I contacted you because you were from somewhere else. He's from Jamaica originally and had been in the States for quite a while. But I was like, "You're from somewhere else and you came here." And I told him that. I'm like, you get a little bit of that. You can't do that here. And he goes, "You know what?" He goes, "I ran the same thing." He goes, "But once they love you, they'll love you. And you make good food for them and they'll turn out for you. They'll be loyal." And he was right. And we have an amazing amount of loyal customers. They're like clockwork now. They're starting to come in on certain days. I'm like, okay, that's Mark at 4:30 on a Saturday. He's here for pizza.
Get the regulars. I like that.
Yeah. But I think what appealed to him in replying to my email was, I'm not from here and I'm trying something new too. And I think he took some appreciation for that. Turns out the guy who is Andrew Black he won a major nationwide restaurateur chef award and is considered one of the top chefs in America. So we were blessed to just, I just contact people. You have to contact people and just like I contacted you, and it was interesting to, to see people do interesting things. And I just had no idea, the level of high fluency it was in the kitchen. And, but he didn't put that on when he came here. I brought him to our kitchen and he said, "Wow, you got going on here." He liked something about our kitchen and had some pizza. He goes, "I'm not much of a pizza eater, but I like your pizza." So it's been good. We try to invite people in. And
that's a great endorsement to get, right from the beginning.
It is. I haven't used it. I'm not, I tell the story, but I wouldn't be bad to say Andrew Black approved, but he's a neat guy. We've traded a few messages and he continues to open, but then I listened to one of his stories, where he came in and he opened up a fancy high-end restaurant. I think he said they had 4 people the first night and 4 or 6 the next night. And some big spender told him, "You can't make that stuff here in Oklahoma and ever to hope to make money. You might as well close up now." And that was, so you get a little, you get challenged. I didn't see it as a challenge first. I took it as an insult, and I realized it's not an insult. It's like, what do you got?
You got to earn it. Yeah.
What do you got? Yeah. What do you got? Well, I'm convinced it came from the Sooner days when the Sooner is named after who gets there sooner, when they had the land rush, so people had to rush out, put a flag in the land. That's our land. So you got to, you're challenged. You're challenged by that mentality. I think that carries through to today. And no, it's been, and I learned something new about Oklahoma every day. But it's been interesting.
So you guys, then you open it looks like in July. Was there pressure from the beginning to live up to, I mean, you're attached to an iconic restaurant now, there at, next to Chicken Shack. Was there pressure on you guys in the beginning to show up and say, like, has to be right on that same level as experience as Chicken Shack? Same level of experience?
Chicken Shack, that's a different entity. Like, that's a different, the whole atmosphere over there, that's different than where I came from in the pizza place. Our pizza place miniature, same building has been in since 1959. So that was my level of, I need to do whatever we need to do to make it as good as that. That's considered by everybody. Every town's got one, but for some reason that seems to be a little different, cut above the rest for me. And like, that's, we consider that the world's best pizza. So now all of a sudden I work there forever. Now I got to try to emulate that. And I can't replicate it. There's nothing to replicate there. It's just like, the dough recipe is a secret. Our ovens are different. And you're used to using certain equipment. I walked in here, I opened the oven. I'm like, oh, it's like, these are different ovens, and then, so I got different ovens. So you got to create our own dough. And we had, 30 days up and running. So food stocked, dough recipe. that was, so I was talking earlier about building from the pizza up, the pizza up like you make a pizza. We had to start with dough, and Jerry's used to do their own dough. Then a long, long time ago, they very famous donut shop in our town that's also been open for 60, 70 years. Whoever's watching this, you might not think that Sioux City, Iowa would give you an extraordinary culinary experience, but it's an amazing setup of these small places that are family owned, that have been in business for 50 and 60 years.
That doesn't happen by accident.
No, there's miles in. They have Charlie Boys. Somebody watching this somewhere is going to know what I'm talking about. They have Charlie Boy sandwiches. There's Tasty In-N-Out, which is 2 blocks away, that has a different type of sandwich that's famous. They've been open since the 50s or 60s. There's a place called La Juanita's that President Obama visited, and it's somebody named them as a top 10 life-changing burrito of 2017, whatever. And Jerry's Pizza. There's Bob Rose Point After. They have pizza and wings and a lot of the stuff. Eddie also tried to emulate. It's like, can we do that as good as they did it? And there's a Sneaky's Chicken, and I'm going to get somebody mad at me that I didn't name their restaurant or somebody, but it's just all these really Alfredo's Pizza. Our pizza down here is called Unique. And back home where I came from, there was, 6 blocks away, there was another place that was kind of similar, and Bob Rose, and Alfredo's similar. And there's a place downtown that has Buffalo Alice. So if you're from Sioux City, been through there, you're going to appreciate this. If you haven't been, if you're close, I
hope to encourage someone to go to Sioux City and try these places out. I know I'm interested.
Well, it's not a nostalgia thing. It's nostalgia when you go back there, but when you live there, you eat at these places.
Yeah, these are the places that you go to every week, right?
Yep, and they've been there. They're family owned. They've been there for 40, 50, 60 years, and La Juanita's is an amazing. It's a cultural mix in the middle of town of people from everywhere, all colors, shapes, sizes, billfold sizes, different, and just people walk in there, and the guy has a brown paper bag, and he's writing it down. He's shouting out the orders, and the Mexican food circles. It goes in a circle to right out to you, and it's an experience just to watch it. So
it sounds really cool.
So in an effort to kind of hopefully, like I said, emulate or replicate those places, our level of, I don't want to say stress, but what you're trying to attain was really high. It was a high mark.
It sounds like it.
So we wanted obviously good dough, and we called donut shops. And Tyrell, sometimes it's not so much, can you get that to me? Do you want to get it for me? So it's ambition testing. We tried a few places that very good reputations, and one said, we can probably put together a couple recipes for you, have them to you in 3 weeks. I'm like, when do you need it? I'm like, well, yesterday.
Yeah, just 3 weeks ago.
Because whatever dough you give me is not what we're going to use. We're going to tweak it. We're going to request tweaks and additions and subtractions and stuff. So we started getting dough from about 3 or 4 different places, and then, can you add more? Can you take a little moisture out of it? Can you try this? Can you add this? Can you take this out? So people think it's a fascinating story, I guess, but that's who had the best dough, was a place called Oklahoma Academy. It's a Seventh-day Adventist boarding school. Saturday is the Sabbath, so I have to make sure I have my dough, and I can't order on Saturday. So I got to plan my week out around that, and they have Margaret. I'm going to make Margaret watch this so she can see her name out there, and Karen, the lady that runs the place. So it's a Seventh-day Adventist boarding school, kids from all over the world. They feed 70 people a day in their school, and then they have an aviation program. They have a mechanics program. They also have a bakery and food culinary. It's a high school, but it's also, they do a vocation with it.
Oh, okay.
And they have their own standalone bakery store that sells their baked goods. They do a lot of clean food.
To the public, they have a A retail location?
Yeah, yeah. So it's a non-for-profit school, and they run a non-for-profit business. It's a bakery and a food store, and the owner and the sister of the owner, Winch, they just said, this is a place that needs to be on our list. And I tried other places. I tried a sourdough place, and I couldn't get the dough through the roller. It just dough's got its own
Yes, it's
own
got its own life for
character.
sure.
It's
Absolutely.
got its own character. It's like weather; it can change. So you gotta be, you gotta be ready for that. But and then one day in the process, she showed up with dough and basically apologized. She goes, "I don't think this is what you're looking for, but this is kind of how you told us how it should be." And I started moving it and feeling it. I'm like, this is amazing.
It's the one.
It's the one, and she was apologizing for bringing me a bad batch of dough. And because it's not traditional, it's not Aaron. Ours is kind of more dense. It's not light and airy and puffy. It can be when it expands, when you expose it to certain temperatures, it'll get puffy and airy, but we like to keep it cold for as long as we can. And then, just let it go to room temperature and start the dough process. And
a little more dense. You guys put a lot of toppings on, so I imagine that's necessary too for a dough.
I never thought about that. So yeah, our dough is a little dense, but it crisps up, it hardens up. But yeah, it's. I even had one customer say, "Do you really need to put that many toppings on?" I'm like, "Do you not like that?" He goes, "No, I like it, but maybe you make more money if you put less on." He goes, "Yeah, but I think people are coming for that. Now it's a thing. Like, wow, you put a lot of toppings on your pizza, so they show up." There's nothing worse when you show up to a place, get a pepperoni pizza, and you get like a giant slice. You got like 2 pepperonis. You got to plan out how you're going to eat half that slice with one bite of pepperoni. So we don't, on our largest 14 inches, we don't count. If we do count, it should be around 63. But we fill all the white spaces. We talk about color a lot. So those white, we cover up the white with the red with the sauce, and you don't want to see much of the dough.
No crust, toppings to the edge, right?
Toppings to the edge. Yep. And then you cover up the red with the white with cheese, and you're going to have minimal, some places, different places, they'll have blobs of cheese, but we cover ours. And then after that, you cover the toppings, and we have a systematic way that changes every day, because it's really tough to have as many templates as pizzas that we make to have. That's how that one is. But we follow kind of a set of rules of how much meat is exposed and how much more meat you put on if there's less ingredients. So by the time you get to the top, it's kind of all equal, regardless of how many, ingredients you have on there. But
so constantly evolving, how the distribution works and, what the end product looks like. Do you square cut or is it triangle? We get our Illinois people come in here and they want it party style. They want it square cut or whatever you call it, party style. But no, we cut it in 12s. So we have 14-inch pizza. We cut it in 12s. And occasionally what we like to do is cut it into 16s or 20s and take it next door to the Chicken Shack. Let people sample it.
Yeah. We call it appetizer slices. So we half it again, and we half those halves and half those halves. And if I did my math right there, you should have 60 and 20 pieces. And but just something to grab onto. It's not like I talk about, like pizza is $20. Like, it's a commitment, right? It's not a $7 sandwich and a Coke for $9.99. And $20 is a commitment. So are you going to try $20? So no, you'll spend $20 in a hurry if you like that little slice. But if you never had it, that's our biggest and best and baddest advertisement is walk next door to the Chicken Shack, and I'll walk up to the table and like, we didn't order pizza. I'm like, no, we got some from next door. And like, you can do that, because we're connected so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so that and a million other stories I could tell you. But so when you start a place, I started with all my employees. I think 3 of them, this is their first job ever. So, which can be challenging. That can also be good. They don't have anything in their mind of how it's going to work. So you give them a lot of instruction.
I love a blank canvas. It gives you the chance to really do it the right way. It takes the right leader to do it. However, you can get the most out of a person when there's no other, experiences in there.
preconceived pizza experiences seems like it'd be a great thing, but it's hard to break those habits.
Mm-hmm.
So we've had one of our girls worked in a restaurant before. Actually, two of them had, and there's some. They go, we did this there, we did this there, and we try to eliminate we did this there because this is how we're going to do it. And the biggest thing in making pizza, sometimes you'll get a tendency. That's my biggest downfall when I worked at Jerry's. They're like, Bob, make it how we make it, not how you like it. Because sometimes I might like a little more sauce, but you had to standardize it, and there was no templates there either. It was just
it's Jerry's pizza, not Bob's pizza.
Yes, it was hand me down. It was hand me down information. It was all verbal. There was no booklet. There was no instruction manual. There was no videos. There was no templates. So, to the chagrin of one of my workers at the Chicken Shack, we've kind of avoided that too here because I wanted them to. Because if I can teach you, Tyrell, how to do it, and you're proficient at it, then you can teach the next person. So I don't have to train the new people, not in a lazy way. Just I like to watch our people train the new people because that reinforces to them how we make it, and then I can correct it if it's not right. But
yeah.
Then you don't have to micromanage like little things like that. Like pizza looks good, and I want to have our pizzas not identifiable by who made them.
Absolutely, I like that.
Because there's restaurants when you walk in, it's like, is John cooking today? He's like, yeah. It's like, wow, we're gonna go next door. Like,
yeah.
Is Jimmy back there? It's like, yeah. Okay, so I'll take this, and this. So you don't want to.
Yeah, the customers know. The customers will know.
You think they don't, but they do. So, but anyway, no. The biggest challenge was, there's so many steps to a pizza. Like, I really encourage them to fix things. Because if I roll it, if I don't dust off enough flour, I like the next person. You have to do that. I have to get rid of the flour on the pizza. We don't want it caked. That pasty taste in your mouth. So I was like, if that person doesn't do their job, not in a bad way, just it didn't get done how it should have been. Next person has to do it. So then the sauce goes on, and then the cheese goes on, and then the pizza goes on, and then so the pizza gets checked once when they're done, once when I check it. And another time when I bring it out, make sure everything's right because you'll miss stuff. No black olives, add black olives, whatever. And the biggest challenge was, our first month and a half, I was auditing probably 75% of our pizzas.
You really want to make sure in those early days.
Yeah. And then the early days, like that sets your tone, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'd send it back. It's like, that's too much of this. That's not enough of this. I send it back. And our sending it back means it's just I hand it to the left because our kitchen's pretty small. We work in a circle or in a U shape, J shape / U shape / circle. It's pretty small. A lot of butts in the kitchen, a lot of contact. You got to be careful where you're at, but it's not, I don't have to walk it somewhere. I was like, turn around. I was like, here, you got to please fix again.
Yeah.
And I just was thinking about last year, the other day, I walked in and one of my workers girl comes in and didn't say boo to me. I started making pizzas. I started rolling. She would sauce and cheese. She'd make them. We'd hardly talked at all. So she, but that happened today from what took place last August.
Yeah.
Like it was reinforced. And all of a sudden, like I just went through the whole night realizing that other than a little bit of chit chat, there was no pizza talk. It was just like, okay, that's done. And
everyone just doing what they need to do.
Yeah.
That feels good.
I have good workers. I always hear the American thing like, wow, we can't find good people. The young kids, they're crap. They can't do anything. They won't work. And like, I don't know, ours do. I've been fortunate, and
people work for people. If you can't find good people, it's probably a reflection on leadership.
There you go.
That's what I say.
Yeah. So, and then the next thing was we got the dough how we wanted. And the sauce that we get, the companies tell me, it's like, Bob, nobody gets this sauce. Why do you want this? I'm like, oh, I want it because I like it. It's like, well, how about this other sauce? Like, no, I go 80% of the people in Oklahoma City order that sauce. I'm like, well, that's probably one reason I don't want it. But, I wanted what I wanted. And Eddie was satisfied with that. He wanted what he wanted, where we came from, and tried to, like I said, you can't replicate perfection. So it wasn't an effort to replicate. It was an effort to make your own thing and do your own thing and try to emulate what you learned and have good pizzas. So, people like our crust and that's that's a huge part of pizza.
Yeah.
And
So how does Oklahoma Academy get you? So do you have scheduled deliveries with them? Do they give it to you in, I guess if you're doing 14, what are you getting, 14, 15 ounce dough balls from them, or do they
no,
actually
we do.
press out?
No, we do. We get it in a sack, about a 15-pound sack. And when I
Okay.
where I worked at before, we go pick up the dough. I think it was like 30 to 40-pound bags, and we just the less cut the better when I get it, because then if it's cut, every time you cut dough, that dough is exposed to the air, and then it gets a little crispy and crusty, and which isn't terrible, but you want it as untouched as possible. So we get it in in bags, probably 10, 15, 20 pounds. They vary a little bit, but yeah, and as needed, we just cut it. We punch it. We punch our dough after a certain point, so it expands to the area that is growing in.
Yeah.
And we'll cut the sack so they can grow a little more. But at a certain point, I want to collapse it. So we'll punch it,
so
make
to
it
take some
collapse,
air out of it. Yeah.
take some air out of it. Keep that dense like we like it, and get it dense. And then we go through a couple of orders a week, and I've heard people brag about fresh dough. Wow, we make fresh dough every day. I was like, we don't want fresh dough. That day of dough is okay. Just like chili. Chili's okay that first day, but there's nothing better than 2 or 3 day old chili.
Yeah.
Seasons.
Yeah, our dough's best on day 2 and day 3.
Yes, yeah. It's
day 2, day 3. That's what we prep for.
I don't know if that's a good inside conversation. It's because day old donuts are cheap, right? Day old bread, week old bread is cheap, but our best dough is on the second and third day. It grows within itself, and without probably unmasking that I'm not an expert baker, but whatever happens inside the dough, when it ferments and stuff, and I've read things they talk about, the second and third day, but I just know by taste, by touch, by feel, by how it pulls, how it rolls, your best dough, and our dough will last a little longer. It's really clean, a lot of cleanliness in it, the type of stuff. We requested some different things that they couldn't or wouldn't put in there based on their dietary guidelines at their school. But yeah, when they advertise fresh dough, it's so good.
But that says you didn't have to buy a mixer. You don't have to tweak your recipe or worry about who the prep guy's going to be day to day.
Correct.
You have some consistency in really the foundational product of what you do. So I like it. Now, from a cost standpoint, did you find it to be comparable to just doing it on your own, or
too expensive?
Did it cost you a whole lot?
Too expensive. So, but you get into a lot of the ingredients they use, and I told somebody, like, maybe our pizza's a little too expensive, but if our pizza's too expensive, that covers our dough costs. Our dough is a little expensive, but it's not factory made. It's never frozen. And one of the salesmen at a place called Hagar, they fix machines. We went in there one time, and I was telling him about our new place and just little stuff like that. He gave me a cutting board. I'm like, wow, he gave me something. He gave me something that I use every day. And so you remember those things. But I always remember him telling me, he goes, people will pay for better. So
that's right.
We like to believe it's a little bit better. It's not churned out in a factory. It's not using all the cheapest ingredients to make a cheap pizza to bump up a little bit in price to make a lot of profits. And I mean, obviously you're in business, you want to make more than you spend to stay alive, but
you got to last.
Well, you do, but I mean, to compromise on a lot of things, so our pizza is a little more expensive, I think, than a lot of places, but also the ingredients we put in. I mean, we shred our own block mozzarella cheese. We use sauce that we have to special order because we can't get it, normal ways. But people really like our sauce. It's California tomatoes, super low in acidity, and a little bit of basil. But we kind of heavily season the top of our pizzas.
Yeah.
So I think your best Mexican food is not spicy. You add your own spices to it. It's really fulfilling of how do you say it? It's really best Mexican food I ever had. It's not spicy. It's like you spice it up how you want. but it has a good foundation, a good base, but it's really rich in taste.
Yeah.
So our dough is, it's not seasoned with garlic or anything. Our sauce has a touch of basil. Our block mozzarella is straight whole milk block mozzarella. It doesn't have a tweak of, any other kind of cheese in there.
But provolone or a cheddar mix or something like that.
Yeah. So, and then our we press our own meats. So our hamburger and sausage, we press our own, and a lot of people, they don't understand that until they tell us, like you get a hamburger at the store, and you can buy a frozen patty and put it on the grill, but if you make your own hamburger, that's going to taste better. So we press our own sausage and hamburger, and cut our own onions and green peppers, and then we do heavily season on the top. Well, not heavily. We do a little extra seasoning on the top to make up for what's not in the rest of it, and it's been a big thing for us. People like it, and I don't know. It's been good, and it's been interesting. So,
well, that's cool. So, you got a good team. You built a great product. You're seeing the success of it. What's next for Pizza Shack?
What's next for Pizza Shack? Here it is. I'll show you right here. What's next for Pizza Shack here's our new, we'll call it a campaign. How do I put that right there?
Chicken Shack. Yes, we have pizza.
Yeah. Because there's that challenge. Like we are literally, so I might give you a tour of the building in about a 30-second tour, but it's a 1920s gas station. I'm going to turn this around. Well, I'll just turn around. I'll just go out there and talk to you for a second.
Yeah, let's do it.
You can see Route 66.
Do you get a lot of tourist traffic?
We do. So there you can see where we're at. We're on Route 66, and it's got all the signs up there. I'm just try to get in some good light here. But literally on Route 66, and we've had people from Belgium, Australia, Germany, Spain, Portugal, and they're just traveling through. Sometimes they don't want pizza; they just want to take pictures.
Nice.
So, but our building is a 1920s gas station, and it's I think I said the Chicken Shack has 179 tables, if not more. And when Eddie hears me say this, he'll probably add another 15 tables just so he's got more. But it's expansive. It's huge. I mean, they'll serve 600-700 people on a weekend, on a single day weekend, and cycling through people all day long. You got fire pits out there, but we seat about 22.
Okay.
And so the Yes We Have Pizza, we're calling it a campaign. Yes We Have Pizza is we forget sometimes when you're inside the game, you forget that not everybody knows what's going on. People walk in and it's like, we have pizza next door, and the Chicken Shack menu is a sacred menu. It's going to stay the same. Now he adds specials. He'll add specials. He'll add daily specials, different things like that. But their menu is kind of he wants to be consistent. So in that consistency, doesn't include exactly pizza on that menu, but we're allowed, obviously, because we want to sell pizza, but we're allowed to have, we've handed out flyers, we've tried different things, but I think a lot of it is like, you'll talk to people and like, you guys have pizza? And so yes, we have pizza.
Yeah.
Yes, we have pizza.
It's not there, but I promise there's pizza. If you want pizza, we can get it.
Yeah. So, and we're about 100 yards from the Chicken Shack kitchen, and that helps take a little stress off of their kitchen, when they're serving. They did a party the other day, about a 4-hour party for 300 people. And they're gone in 20 minutes. That dining room looks like nobody's been in there all day. They'll clean it up, turn it over, and next thing you know, then you got serving customers all night. It's he's done a really great thing just by, I call it 5 miles to We are 5 miles from Edmond. Like we talked about Oklahoma people, they will challenge you, and you got to be ready for it. And then the other thing is regardless of how big of boots they have and how nice of cars they have, and they work or live in downtown Oklahoma City, they like the country. It's part of the culture here. There's more horses in Oklahoma, I think, than any other state, but they love coming out here, and you're in the country when you're here, and you're only 25 minutes from downtown Oklahoma City, and you're only 5 minutes from Edmond, which is a very large community right north of Oklahoma City. Its own, I don't know if it's a suburb so much as it is its own city, just adjacent to Oklahoma City, because they're their own thing.
So do you guys, so being located, 5 miles outside the city, I imagine you probably don't deliver then. So everyone comes to you, right?
So one size pizza and then 10-inch cheese stick and then just pop and just trying to do simple good right now.
Yeah.
So pizza delivery might be down the road. We're starting to do more and more pickup certain things with the to-go section run by Troy we talked about earlier. But yeah, I just trying to do simple as good as we can and then go from there. So last story, I guess, on the simple is we tried, we had some oven issues. We had some earthquake. We had freezing pipes, which not really conducive to Oklahoma. They don't freeze down here a lot, but we had a bunch of issues. Next thing you know, it's like, wow, we got all this dough. We got all this food. What do we do? I mean, your cheapest option is throw food away. It's probably your worst option, but it's your cheapest option. Then, because you're just going to use it. And what do you do with it? You can't sell it. So we made it 10 for the kitchen and had them freeze it. And next thing you know, we're taking full advantage of the Chicken Shack with their giant freezer. And we stock about 30 to 50 frozen pizzas over there now. And we make them here. We do a factory night or factory hour, bring our girls in or guys, our workers in for, 2 hours, and we'll knock out a bunch of pizzas and freeze them. And and all of a sudden we have a frozen pizza business at the Chicken Shack.
So are they par baked? Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Your take and bake business is taking on an accident, taking on as an accident, but became a big mover for you.
Well, what do they say? With lemons make lemonade. When you have frozen pipes, you make frozen pizzas. So they no, they're not par baked. We'll occasionally do some half baked, but no, they're not par baked, half baked, quarter baked, anything. They're just straight frozen pizzas. So they're the dough, and we have some instructions, to preheat the oven with something underneath the surface. But we've had good reviews. People seem to like them.
And to the point that you have to keep 30 to 50 in stock at all times.
Yeah,
that's pretty amazing.
So we go count stock. So it rotates with our dough. At the end of our dough cycles, like, okay, where are we at with frozen pizzas? How much dough we have left? Don't want to throw anything away. Sometimes we make the Chicken Shack kitchen very happy. They got 30 to 50 people working over there on any given day. We'll make them pizza, but we just want to get to the end of our dough cycle and not have to throw anything away. But also do it in a timely manner where we're using fresh dough. So it's kind of a trick. It's a little imaginary trick. You got to try to put it together like a puzzle. So
that's very cool.
I got to tell you one thing though. I know I if you let me, I keep talking, but I'm sure you want to get on to other things for the day. But, I tell, we have, so we got this, you walk in, you see the free apple juice sign, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we have apple juice in a container and people are like, what's the deal with the free apple juice? Like, it's strange. And I'm like, I don't know, what's the deal with free tortilla chips at a Mexican restaurant? Just eat it. You don't have to take it. Right. Before you're like, you're going to that Mexican restaurant that's got those awesome chips, right? You walk in and it's like, where's my chips? So there's no correlation with the chips and the apple juice. But I tell you what, people ask me why we do that. And when I was young and like probably 10 years old, we go to a place called Stevenson's Apple Farm in Kansas City. We'll watch some Royals games, and my dad was a coach, and he had one of his former players named Paul Splittorff. He played for the Royals. We would go down to Kansas City, and we go to this place every summer called Stevenson's Apple Farm. And so I'm a little kid. If you can make an impression on a little kid, it must be a good thing, right?
Yeah.
So they had free apple cider. Everything in the restaurant was made out of apples: apple butter, apple crisp, apple muffin, apple fritters. All their steaks and chicken had some kind of apple rub in them, but they had free apple.
That's my kind of place.
It was so good. Actually, they're closed, unfortunately, but their cookbook, and they would sell their cookbook. They didn't have any secrets. They would sell like what they made in the restaurant. The challenge is you can't make that. You can't replicate that. You can't replicate that perfection. Yeah. So I tell my workers, like, this might be somebody's favorite restaurant. We don't know why. if it's the Route 66 signs, or if it's the sacks and the pizza, or if it's the not necessarily free apple juice going to make it. But I still remember when I was 10 years old how big a deal it was. And now we got kids that'll come in, they make a beeline to the apple juice.
Someone's going to remember that.
There you go. And I thought it'd be a nice touch. And Eddie's full of yeses. He's like, yes, yeah. It's a platform. It's a platform for you to do things. So he said yes to a lot of things that a lot of people, but he knew where we came from. And our football coach always said, never forget where you came from. And so it's why he called me. It's why he's got another friend down here. It's why he's tried to bring, this taste of Sioux City to a place 8 hours away. And it's been interesting. So
it sounds like it's been a very good mesh of two different areas and cultures between Sioux City and where you are now in Oklahoma. It sounds like they're really embracing it. So good for you guys.
It takes a little bit. You gotta figure out your new area, but people from Minnesota, Iowa, Illinois, Wisconsin really like our pizza because it reminds them of back home. Mm-hmm. And people down here, it's like, wow, I've never had anything like that. It's unique. It's considered unique. I'm not sure why, but it's unique
because it's new to them.
Well, and it's called Iowa Stone Pizza. You ever heard of that?
I had not until you said that earlier.
Well, it's a new invention because everything we have, has been somewhere before. Just like that Toyota, you could get the used ones. So the used ovens, about 20 years old, they're probably about 20 grand new, and he got them for not much of anything and had to do a lot of retrofitting, and called a friend of mine's chef about cleaning the ovens. And he said, I said, they're soapstone. And he goes, how do you know? And I'm like, I don't know. I can read the PDF file, the owner's manual. I can
figure out
read that and say that what it is. And he's like, how do you know? Because his thing is he's experienced enough where if you clean those ovens in the wrong way, you're going to mess them up.
You'll crack it. They're porous.
Yeah, exactly. And do we use oil? Do we use water? Tell me a little bit about these. And he goes, well, I was like, if you don't know what they are, play it safe. And in absence of knowing exactly what kind of stone they are, somebody named them Iowa Stone, and that's what we serve now. And it turned out to be a thing. It's Chicago, what do they call it? Tavern style, pub style in Illinois, and thinner crust and crispy and holds up to the weight of all the toppings. And it's I like to think I invented something. I was just fortunate enough to work at an awesome place for awesome people, Terry and Diane Foister, for on and off for 30 some years. 1984 to 2018 is the last time I worked there. So I learned a lot by not knowing I was learning anything. I learned a lot. Like everything I do here is tied back to something there. So.
Well, it's a really cool story. And I'm glad that I was able to talk to you and get to know you. And, for the listeners that had a chance to hear this thing, and hopefully someone's driving through Route 66 and stop in and say hello.
Let me grab a shirt. I'm going to show you something. So Eddie's the owner. I think Maury's the director of fun of anything. He creates all these things. So here's a shirt. Obviously it says Chicken Shack on it, and they have their logo. Yeah. This is something they did. It was Chicken Shack-a-Palooza.
Chicken Shack-a-Palooza.
Yeah, and he's got merchandise, and We're about ready to order some new Pizza Shack shirts, so I better get your size and address. But they have a crawfish festival coming up here. They have a big event about every month.
That's really cool. How do people find you guys?
So if you're 5 miles outside of civilization, Edmond, Oklahoma, we're on right on Route 66. So we are 5 miles east of I-35 in Edmond. Okay. Online, you can find us on Instagram at Pizza Shack, Arcadia, Oklahoma. Facebook, you can find us. It's the same name, those with spaces, and Pizza Shack, Arcadia, Oklahoma. If a lot of times people will Google pizza near me, which I always thought would be an awesome restaurant name, and I saw that name. Somebody said name their place Pizza Near Me, but
Yeah,
Uh,
my buddy in
that's awesome.
Texas did it. Yeah, and
That's awesome.
I love that he did that.
Yeah. I was like, that'd be a great name for a pizza place. Um, but yeah, and then that was one of our things. It's going to be Shacktown Pizza or Pizza Shack, or we talked about Iowa Stone Pizza for a couple of minutes and just settled on Pizza Shack. Pizza Shack at the Chicken Shack brings up a Google site, and I appreciate you reading our reviews on there. That brings in business. People people read. You got lookers, you got readers. So we try to appease everyone and have a little bit of everything. I think in the end, though, what I tell my customers, I'll tell my people, and I get a little funny looks, but then they understand it. I said the only complaint we want is bad pizza, because I can fix that.
Yeah.
Don't complain to the internet. If you don't like your pizza, you call me, and you tell us, and we'll fix it. I don't want to complain about bad attitude from my staff, about something not being clean, and just different things. The only complaint I want is bad pizza. I can fix that. But message to anybody watching this: don't complain on the internet. I mean, it's not going to fix your meal. Complain to your waitress. People don't realize that actually the back of the house wants those complaints. They want to know what's going on in the front of the house, because there's a disconnect a lot of times. And I don't see people when they go home. It's like, wow, the pizza was not what they wanted. So, yeah, we've had complaints and we fix them.
I love it. If they don't complain, I don't know that we had a problem, and I can't take care of it.
That's right.
Give me an opportunity.
And I've had a guy say, hey, come back. He came back, and now he's a regular. He went from being a complainer, not in a bad way, just that, to being a regular, because I say, hey, come back in. We'll give us another shot. And that's the tough thing. So we've been really fortunate on good reviews, and it's driven business in here, and people driving on I-35 and in the Oklahoma City area. If they do pizza near me or food near me, and they look at that, it's brought people in, and then now it just kind of snowballs. Good reviews brought people in, free samples brings people in, friends. That's our biggest area of our business is friends of
the word of mouth.
Word of mouth. That's your best, and that's but you have to have a good product to have good word of mouth.
Absolutely, it starts there. Well, this has been really fun. Thank you again for telling us your story. Please, and I'll put all your Instagram page and your website in the show notes, so that folks can find you quickly. Hang out. I'm gonna stop the recording, but hang out. We have pizza at Chicken Shack. So
we got 600 people next door. They're gonna come over here and eat pizza. But it's hey, I appreciate you having me on. Like I said, I was a follower of your Instagram page, and then I became a little addicted. I started looking at all your things, and a lot of it resonated with with a good human and a good business owner and a good conveyor of ideas, which helps me in the middle of Oklahoma, be better. So I appreciate it.
I appreciate you. And just like we said earlier, it's good to know that what we're going through is not only us. We're all in this together. So thank you. And obviously I appreciate that support. I'm going to send you a book too. And so hang tight. I'm going to end this. And then,
and thanks for having me on for such an extended period of time. I hope your customers will get to the end of this. So.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. That's the best part, is that we get to have a good conversation. And I got to say it here, because I told Bob, this is the first time I've ever interviewed anybody one-on-one like this. So thank you for being my first.
Yeah. You're just having a conversation with a camera on. I don't think it'd be different if we didn't have a camera, but it's
absolutely. So this couldn't have gone any better. And thank you so much.
No, thank you. This is great. It's going to reach all of America, all the world. But if you're on Route 66 near Oklahoma City, make sure you stop by.
Go check him out.
We are Dave Portnoy ready, just so you know.
Oh yeah, we want that 10, 10 in Oklahoma.
Yes, we are Dave Portnoy ready. Hopefully he's watching today.
There you go. Hey, hang tight.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Pizza King podcast with Tyrell Reed. If you enjoyed today's discussion, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your feedback means the world to me. Got a topic you love to cover or a question that you want answered? Shoot me an email at info@tyrellreed.com. or reach out to me on Instagram at Pizza King Podcast. I love hearing from all of the listeners.